My guest is Rabbi Dov Marmer, Rabbi Emeritus from Holy Blossom Temple. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You've been on before, and now you live half the year in Jerusalem. You have a sense of the media and what it does for Israel and what it doesn't do. What's your sense of the importance of this show?
I can see two aspects of
Well,
it.
you can, if they're negative, it's all right.
I can see two aspects of it. The negatives we'll talk about later. But first of all, that it presents Israel and various aspects of Judaism as is, not in some adversarial situation, and not to debate and not to defend. So you see all kinds of aspects, which I think is very important for the non-Jewish community, to see Jews who are no different than others. For the Jewish community, it's also important because we see aspects of the community, particularly about Israel, that we don't come across, that tourists don't come across when we go and visit, and which do not appear in the debates here either. Movies, strange people. A friend of mine a few years ago who was a wine connoisseur in Israel. You know, I wouldn't have thought of it in those terms. So this has been different and interesting and wholesome, and I hope successful.
When you've been on the show, what response has there been when you appeared as a guest?
When you are on television, it doesn't matter what you say. People will come up to you and say, I saw you on television, which normally means, well, you must be somebody.
I see.
Yes.
Your instant
Yes.
15 seconds fame.
That's right, that's right. So this is how I have perceived it, not only on your show, but on anything else over the years that I have been. It's always been good. It doesn't matter however stupid I was in answering your questions.
You're never stupid. Last question. Do you think it's important that we have a membership base, a community base for the program?
I don't know about that. It's important that I think that there is a fan club around, yes? And if that's to cost a few dollars, of course. Namely, that there are a number of people, a critical mass, who feel that this is relevant and important to them, and perhaps they will in turn talk to others about it, because you're doing a good job, and I hope you'll continue.
I'll pay your bribe later.
Thank you.
Now that you're retired. Well, thank you very much, Dov, for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And of course, I always appreciate our conversations, and we just had lunch. It was terrific.
Terrific.
Thanks again.
Splendid.
My guest is Dr. Susanna Kokkonen. She's the director of the Christian Friends of Yad Vashem. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, you're familiar with Yad Vashem now that you've been there a few years. Where are we sitting in it? Because it's a very big campus and complex.
Yes, we are sitting in a very important place in Yad Vashem at the Avenue of the Righteous Among the Nations. And the righteous among the nations were non-Jews who rescued Jews at the time of the Holocaust. And Yad Vashem is the only place in the world that gives them the title righteous among the nations. And all over around us we have trees, and these trees have been planted in honor of each person that we know of who rescued or tried to rescue Jews at that time.
And how many are there righteous Gentiles that are remembered here?
Yes, there are almost 22,000 righteous that are remembered, and we are still recognizing more people.
Yeah, I was at a ceremony where a Belgian countess was just recognized.
Yes, yes, and those are wonderful ceremonies. And since we don't have space for any more trees here, we now have another place where we write their names on a special wall. But here you can see the trees, and we have almost 2,000 of them here in Yad Vashem campus.
Now, was any of your family, but you're from Finland.
Yes.
That doesn't have much connection with the Holocaust usually.
No, not that much. So I'm not directly related to any of the events, but as human beings, we should all be aware of what happened.
But is there something in your personal history that connected you with this kind of, it's a vocation, and it's a hard one, I would think.
Yes, well, I would say I was very, very fortunate that my grandmother, who was a very devout Christian, she always spoke to me about the Jewish history, about Bible, about the state of Israel. So from a very early age, I knew that my life would be connected to the state of Israel. And
Really?
yes,
From a very early age?
yes.
So you came here to get your doctorate education, right?
Yes, I came here to do my doctorate in Holocaust studies, and I got it from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and it was specifically on Italy, the Jewish refugees who came to Italy when the Allies arrived to Europe, and then they had to spend several years in Italy waiting in special camps until they could immigrate.
And it's interesting, you know, when we were at the Israeli Museum, there were so many Italian Jews who are the curators of the exhibits there.
Yes.
There was a joke about the Italian mafia at the Israeli Museum.
I
So
see.
the Italians play a very important role, even though they're relatively a small group. But you speak a number of languages then. How many
Yes.
languages do you speak?
Well, I speak 7 languages.
Wow,
Thank you.
that's impressive. So you speak fluent Hebrew?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
I won't compare it to mine. I don't hardly speak. Let me ask what you do at the Friends of Yad Vashem.
Yes. Since 2006, we have something here in Yad Vashem called the Christian Friends of Yad Vashem. Yad Vashem in 2006 decided that they wanted to reach out to the Christian world in an organized manner to get Christians to enroll as Christian Friends of Yad Vashem, and also to educate the Christian world, including pastors and Christian leaders, about the Holocaust, about anti-Semitism, what happened and what we should be doing to not only to remember but also to educate about what happened. So my task is to coordinate all of this. I'm the contact point to the Christian world, and I try to enroll Christians in our membership program, and I try to connect with the Christian groups that in any case come to visit Yad Vashem in very large numbers. And also from this year we have something new and very important. We have an international Christian leadership seminar whereby Christian leaders from around the world can apply, and some of them will be chosen. They can come here for a week-long seminar and learn with the best top experts about anti-Semitism, the Holocaust, and what do we do today.
This issue of anti-Semitism,
Yes.
recently it's taken a new form. Has that affected your work? You know, in the sense that if you were dedicated to Israel, I assume you've made a connection.
Yes, I mean, I think one of the things that the teachers always teach is that anti-Semitism is not something static. It's not something that we always recognize in exactly the same form, but it changes itself according to the circumstances. So, of course, today we have new and different forms of anti-Semitism, and we need to combat those. Yad Vashem is a place that needs to stay relevant, so Yad Vashem teaches, of course, about the new and different forms of anti-Semitism.
And I gather you go abroad, because you were in Toronto and we couldn't see you when you were in Toronto. We missed you. You go abroad and speak to Christian groups, or do you also speak to Jewish groups?
Yes, well, yes. I travel quite a lot and I speak at churches, but we also have interfaith events with synagogues or Jewish communities or organizations. And we call them Yad Vashem events, in that we try to bring the message of Yad Vashem to those people who come to our events. So we don't speak only about the Holocaust, but also about Yad Vashem's mission, what we stand for today.
And what's been the response among the Christian churches? Because is it just the evangelicals that are getting, you know, they're strong, tend to be strong supporters of Israel. What's the response in other churches?
Well, for example, this seminar we had for the Christian leaders in April, we had representatives of the Catholic Church, of the Orthodox Church, of the evangelical churches, and the mainline Protestants.
So all
So we
across.
had all, yeah.
I see.
So I actually believe that the Holocaust is such an issue that it has these human dimensions. It's not a political issue, it's an issue that should touch everybody's heart. So I believe that many people would be interested in it across the denominational lines, and I believe that that's a very important topic for all of the churches.
But
to
are
know
the
about.
mainline churches making the connection between anti-Semitism and the current, attempts to delegitimize Israel? Do they make that connection, or do they think it's distortion?
Well, you have everything. When we speak about churches, we have this huge Christian world, very white world. So I would hate to generalize.
I see, right.
And I would say that we have people from all the denominations that understand what is going on, and we have people who don't. But our task is just to go out there and educate and tell them what's happening. So
But you also bring people in here to see Yad Vashem.
yes,
But do you have people, volunteers, for example, as often is the case?
yes, we are always looking for volunteers, for people who would like to help us in our work, whether that would be helping us by helping us in their own nation, or whether it's people who can physically come to Jerusalem and help us here at Yad Vashem.
That
So
would
we
be a
have
great experience for them to take,
Yes.
Especially if you're retired and want to do some service.
Yeah, it
It was
is.
a better place to live. It's a
Yes.
terrific thought. Well, you live
Yes.
here, I assume.
Yes, I live in Jerusalem already more than 10 years. So
I see. Oh, yes,
Yes.
because you did your PhD and
Yeah.
stayed on.
Mm.
And what did you do after your PhD?
Well, I was working at the Embassy of Finland in Tel Aviv for a number of years.
So you weren't in Jerusalem then. You were in Tel
Well,
Aviv.
I
Oh,
was
you
part of the
commuted.
time, but I was there. But
I see.
yeah,
And then what else did you do?
I have been working at the European Parliament in Brussels. I have been doing lobbying for Israel. So that was just before I came to Yad Vashem.
I see.
Mm.
That's an interesting career trajectory.
Yes.
Well, this is quite an opportunity for you and very interesting and
Yes.
challenging.
Yeah.
What could, if members of our audience wanted to be involved, how would they do they just write you to be a volunteer, or how do they contact you to be a part of the Christian Friends of Yad Vashem?
Well, we would like to enroll people as members, so that will be possible with the website address. That,
So we'll put it across the screen.
yes, it's possible just to go to Yad Vashem's website and go to the Christian Friends of Yad Vashem and
see.
enroll. But of course, it's also possible to email christian.friends@yadvashem.org.il, and we'll be happy to help people and tell them what they can do and how they can become members.
Oh, so it's a membership as well as volunteering. You have
Well,
both.
those are two different
I
things.
see.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you very much, Susanna, for your
Thank you.
dedication and the kind of work you're doing, and I hope you do very well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.